Have you been wondering how organisations around the world are solving plastic pollution? Or whether our individual actions are making any difference? Or even how to get something going yourself? Tune in for conversations with me, Nat, founder of City to Sea, and my inspirational guests from around the world. Welcome to Nat's Chats, and I am very excited to have with me this month as an environmental special, Heli Kurjanen from Lunette Cup. So she's the founder of this amazing brand, and we're going to be talking about periods, period shame, taboo, a bit of politics thrown in there, and hopefully some practical advice for you if you are using a menstrual cup or you're thinking about using a menstrual cup. So Heli, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, you're in Finland at the moment, where I'm talking to you. We're going to try and get this conversation done before the light completely fades.
Yeah, the winter is definitely coming and the days are shorter.
Yeah. Do you get any sun during the winter?
Yeah, there is a couple of hours sunlight.
Yeah.
We are in the middle of Finland, so in Lapland, the sun goes down and it comes back up during the springtime. But over here, we have a couple of hours per day.
Yes, good. Well, make the most of it while it's here.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're very productive anyway during the winter months. So I'm really keen to talk to you as a female founder and to just hear a bit more about your journey with Lunette. Because it's been quite a long time now, and it sounds like you were very pioneering certainly in Finland around menstrual cups. So I think, has it been 14 years since you started Lunette? 15 years.
15 years. So I started the company back in 2005. So this is actually October is our 15th birthday month. So we are celebrating that.
Congratulations. It's a long time. I mean, it's a long time to keep a business going, and certainly, 15 years ago, I know here in the UK, pretty much we just had Moon Cup. So what inspired you to start Lunette?
The history started, I actually I used cloth diapers with my kids. And that's the journey through those, I found out that there are these reusable period options. And I heard about the cups for the first time in online forums. And my first reaction was disgust. And I was like, oh my God, that is so, that just kind of like made me shiver. And then I started to think that why these periods happen to me every month, so it's so natural part of my body's functions, and I'm used to use cloth diapers with my children, but then I have this kind of reaction towards my own periods, and that kind of like made me think about it, and I decided that I need to try this product.
Yeah.
And then I ordered one online. And basically, I was quite happy with the functionality, but there was lots of these small things that I was thinking that this needs to be made better.
Yeah.
And I talked to my friends, and they all had the same issues. So that's how Lunette started.
Great. So it was born out of a need of you thinking, well, the basic concept is there, but it's not quite right for me, and you thought you could improve on it.
Yeah. And at that time, all of the marketing and everything, like it was kind of like really old-fashioned, and period care products were advertised with blue liquid and kind of this medical stuff with doctors pouring this blue liquid on pads, and I thought that this definitely needs to be changed.
Yeah. I'm just going to comment for observant viewers who have noticed that Heli and I are wearing very similar earrings. There is a good reason behind that, and you may have guessed what that is. I have lots of fun wearing these earrings since you sent them to me, Heli, because I generally have a game. I'm like, do you know what they are? But yes, these are my wonderful vulva earrings.
Yes.
And it's funny the reaction that it has. Some people think it's hilarious. Other people get a bit blushy
I know.
Eyes find it a bit uncomfortable, especially if I'm sat there like playing with it.
Yeah.
These are also yours, aren't they? They're part of
Yeah.
a fun sort of part of your product range.
Yeah, yeah. So it's more about the promotion, but it's also a really good conversation starter.
It is, isn't it? I found that. Yeah. I did stop myself when my teenage son was obviously guess what they were, and I was tempted to say to him, "So you do know where the clitoris is, don't you?" But I made sure I was like, "Yeah, I don't need to have that conversation with him." So things have really changed, haven't they? And you've obviously seen in the last 15 years. I think especially in the last sort of 3 years, really, maybe even the last two, where we've been seeing much more true period advertising. How has the sort of period marketplace changed for you in that time?
Oh, it has changed a lot. And I'm so happy that I have been able to be part of this change. Like when we started, as I said previously, the world was completely different. We couldn't do all of the radical things back then that we are doing now, but things are kind of like they have evolved throughout these years. And I think the overall people are talking so much more openly. There are so many more reusable options,
Yeah.
and otherwise all over, like all of the options also when it comes to disposable, which I don't really recommend to anyone, but I understand that there are people who don't want to use anything reusable. But overall the whole market scene and the products, they have changed and it evolved, and the openness is so much better than it used to be. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely happy.
Yeah, so we've seen the shift, haven't we, from like you said, like the blue blood, like in a lab, to actually now seeing more realistic examples of what a period it looks like on a pad or on washable period pants. And we've seen a shift around language as well, haven't we? And have moved away. Certainly in our campaigns at the beginning, we learnt quite quickly that saying feminine hygiene, is not inclusive of people with periods who don't identify as women, and that by saying hygiene that we were kind of implicating that periods are dirty. And I know you've been pioneering that as well, that language. What sort of, how have you seen things change, and how's that been for you?
I think it was kind of like eye-opening to me because I'm from Finland, based in Finland. So over here we don't have the pronouns we have are non-binary. So we are kind of like the language itself is more non-binary than in English. So that was kind of like mind-opening to realize that the situation is completely different in many parts of the world. And also we started to use gender-neutral language in all of our marketing materials. I would say like 4 or 5 years ago. So we were pioneering in that sense. And originally it got a lot of backlash for us. So people were kind of sending these nasty messages to us that you are trying to erase women. And it's not that. We don't see that periods define you as if you are a woman or not. So it's not like we are talking about periods. We are not talking about genders or how you express yourself. We are just talking about this bodily function, and it doesn't require any gender.
That's wonderful to hear that. Like I haven't heard it described in that way. And we've had backlash as well at Titty to See through using gender inclusive language, and generally talking more openly about trans and non-binary people that have periods. But yeah, and had the same response. So it's helpful to hear your response to that. And also some women don't have periods. So like you say, it's not about it's the menstruation itself rather than the person, the sort of what gender that person is.
Yeah, and it's not like how we overall the society doesn't think that women stop being women when they have their menopause, when they stop their period. So it's kind of like people are understanding that the periods are not related to the gender, but then it's, on the other hand, it's a little bit tricky to understand still. but I think the world changes, and this kind of work pioneering is needed, and now things are completely different than a couple of years ago, so we'll change.
Yes, it is. It's exciting to see those changes. And I think for so long, we weren't even aware of the environmental impacts of our periods. And I know we were inspired at City to See to disrupt the education over here in the UK in schools. And pretty much the education around our periods was kind of owned by big brands like Tampax and Always, because they had the money so they could come into schools and offer free education programs around periods. But I watched the videos of these education programs, and it's a bit of biology. It doesn't talk about period shame. It probably had blue blood in it, and it shows you like how to insert a tampon or use a pad. But then it would show a girl cycling off on a bicycle, and that was it. That was like the end. And it's like, okay, so how did she dispose of that disposable the disposable period product? So, what does she do with her tampon when she's finished with it? So there was this big gap, and this sort of real, like, we're just not going to go there because, yes, it's dirty, and yes, actually, it's really bad for the environment. So yeah. We've definitely been excited to share the education program that we run at City to See and with the Women's Environmental Network. I think that's been something that I've been really proud of, to show, the mountain of waste that comes from our period products.
Yeah, it's so easy to forget about that when you use a tampon or pad and you just throw it away.
Yeah,
and because you don't. Every time when you throw something away, it doesn't really go away. It goes somewhere.
Yeah, and I guess the beauty as well with reusable period products is you're taking out the element of to flush or not to flush. Obviously, you shouldn't flush any period products down the toilet. They should go in the bin. But a lot of people do flush them, and they contain a lot of plastic if they're not sort of organic plastic-free disposables. So the beauty with reusables, I mean, most of our viewers, I'm sure, will kind of be aware of that and on board with that. But they are pretty much zero waste, aren't they, with a menstrual cup?
Yeah. It's basically the packaging with some brands might contain plastics, but our Lunette cups comes from within a plastic-free packaging, so we don't have any plastics.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And what's different about Lunette cups? What did you do to make them better?
Oh, the design. So back in the day, there was only few options, and they were quite similar. So one of the biggest problem that I had personally was that the cup was too long for me. So Lunette is slightly. I actually have one over here. So it's slightly shorter, and we have this flat and flexible stem, so it doesn't. You can't really feel it when it's inside of you. And the cup itself doesn't really have. It has a logo and it has small lines over here, but it's not that kind of. Overall, it's more easier to clean than the cups at that time on the market, and also the air holes are a little bit bigger. There isn't any writing or any engravings or anything inside of the cup, so it's completely smooth. So overall, it was more comfortable to use and easier to clean. Those were the main issues that I had.
And do the air holes help? We're going to get technical now, but do the air holes help with the sort of releasing it? Is that why you have the air holes at the top of the cup?
Yeah,
that's the bit that most people are kind of like, the first few times of using it, it's like getting it out is generally the thing that most people are most concerned about, but also like maybe have some issues with.
Yeah. So there are like basically just this is how you insert it. This is the kind of normal way, the C-fold.
Just hold it up a bit more for us. Yeah.
Hold it and then fold it so it's like a C.
Yeah.
And then you insert it. And it pops open. Quite often it already pops open when you put it inside, but you can also move it slightly up and down so it finds the correct place.
Yeah.
And it just collects the blood. So it doesn't absorb anything. It just collects. And when you need to take it out, you can pinch kind of like pull it slightly from the stem, but because it has a small suction, it's really important to pinch from the bottom. So you need to pinch and then kind of wiggle it out.
Yeah.
And when you pinch it, the small suction that it has over here, it releases, and it's not it's easier to take out.
Yeah. So it's not about, you don't pull it out. It's like you pinch to release the suction and then it comes out.
Yeah.
And I think so I tried lots of different cups before, and I'm really happy that I can use Lunette and they're comfortable, which is brilliant. Because I think I have a low-lying cervix, but it's hard to know whether you have one of those. But a couple of cups I've tried really felt like I had, like, gave me terrible pain, like period pain, and felt like it was like pulling my womb out. But I think that was when you have the suction then maybe round the cervix so that it's too high at that point. Is that correct?
Yeah. And oftentimes cervix is really sensitive. So if you have the cup so high that it touches the cervix, it gives you cramps.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why shorter cups is better.
Yeah, great. Well, good to know. Well, thanks. I like being able to dive into it with someone who's like got the real sort of technical experience of that. So how many cups do you think you've sold over the years? Is that a secret? Is that a kind of, I'm just throwing this at this complete curveball question.
Yeah, so we haven't been disclosing our exact numbers, but we can tell you that we have sold millions of cups, and we have retailers basically all over the world. Like, we are selling our products in 50 countries at the moment, and through our online store we are selling into over 100. So we are quite widespread.
I was going to say, I think I was just excited to hear that there's millions, that you've sold millions. And I've seen through some of the research for my book, How to Save the World for Free, there's a section called How to Save the World When You Bleed in one chapter. And I talk about the rise of the reusable and how the Google trends and the Google searches for menstrual cups risen through like 300% in the last few years. So it's good, isn't it, to see that?
Yeah, it's really exciting. And the funny thing is that when we started, we couldn't really talk about the environmental issues at all, because that was basically one of the misconceptions that people had with the cups, that of course they are good for the environment, but they are not comfortable to use. So that was the reason why we were focusing on other aspects more. And now we are finally in a place where we can talk openly about all of the amount of plastics and all of that impacts that this small product can have for the environment. So it's quite nice.
Small but powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about being powerful, I think I'm excited to talk to you about as being a woman, sort of leading a business, obviously in the space you're in. But what do you think are the qualities of feminine leadership? And do you think it's just been sort of natural to you, or have you felt like you've needed to adopt more sort of masculine principles being in the business world, or how has it been for you?
Yeah, I have to say that in the beginning I was kind of like, but it was also part of me being so young. So when I started the company, I was a mother of two, 25 years old. So I was quite a baby when thinking back. But so I had to emphasize this kind of like different aspects and be a little bit more masculine in a way, not too much, but in a way I needed to be more professional than I actually was in order to be taken seriously, especially when it comes to this kind of product range. And I had like like big dreams from the beginning, and people were skeptic because of the product, because of my ideas, because of my age, and later on I realized that it was also because of my gender. Nowadays I think that I have in a way proven my position, and I can be more, and I realize that it's better to be your true honest self. I think it's a shame that lots of women can't be themselves when it comes to business world, but they need to hide some of their own good qualities and highlight some others that might not be that good.
Yeah, I think, and do you think that's changing too? Because again, like, it sort of feels like we can be more open about our feelings in a business context. We can promote even and model being open and collaborative and sensitive, and generally they are more feminine qualities, I think, can obviously be embodied and by men as well, but that generally I think we kind of have more permission to express those, and they're being recognized now as essential qualities and when it comes to, you know, doing business in an ethical and environmental sort of sustainable way.
Yes, definitely world has changed in that sense too, and I'm so happy to see that there are now these groups of women, and this support that comes from other women. And also it's not still, although these they're mainly are focusing on women, but they are not exclusive, they are inclusive to all genders. And I see that there are a lot of these, so to say, soft values with male leaders. And so it's kind of like overall the business world has changed. So
Yeah.
it's not like it used to be anymore.
Yeah,
and
even
that makes me
like, I
happy.
still notice the judgments in me around soft. Like there's still like a negative connotation of, like, in here with the language in the UK, if someone's soft, it generally means that, you know, they're a bit wet, they're a bit sort of, you know, they don't have much sort of get up and go. But actually, soft is such an essential. It's the balance, isn't it? You know, you need soft and you need hard. You can't have one or the other. And generally,
Yeah.
all the sort of hard toughness has got us into the problems we're in at the moment.
Yeah. yeah I think it's part of the whole world is changing, and people are kind of like realizing now that this hard business, hard way of doing business, hard capitalism isn't working. It's destroying the world around us.
Yes, we need to go more heart than hard, don't we?
Yeah.
So, talking of feminine leadership, I think Finland is an extraordinary example in politics at the moment of that. You have I think a fairly young female. She's a female prime minister, and your cabinet, I think, made up of another 4 female ministers, all I think under 40. So it's a coalition government, which is just phenomenal. And I think great news, because a lot of evidence to show that female-led countries are kind of doing better, and they did better in sort of throughout the pandemic as well in terms of coronavirus. How's it been in Finland? What's been the response, and how is it for you?
I have to say that there are like all over the world, there are these parties who are against this, and like is building up memes to undermine these great young leaders, and especially because of their gender.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I think that this has given a really good opportunity for other women to kind of like understand that they can be anything they want. And especially young ladies, young girls growing up, they see that they have role models, that they can be the country leaders if they want, and they work hard. So I think it's a good thing, and the world is changing in that sense. On the other hand, just recently there has been these yellow magazines, yellow press lots of discussion around our prime minister, because she was in a women's magazine with this kind of open chest. She had this jacket on, and you could see the cleavage. And that's kind of like people are saying that some of the people are saying that this she's not credible if she does this kind of. So we still have a lot of work to do in that sense.
Yes, you can be prime minister, but you're not allowed to be sexy at the same time.
Yes, exactly. So it's kind of like, that's a discussion happening over here right now, and it surprises me heavily, because the way you look and how you dress shouldn't define you as a leader, but the acts you are doing should.
Yeah, and it's massively, it's very well evidenced that women in leadership are far more often the comments or reviews are more about how they look or what they wore rather than what they actually do. So I think you're right, we have got a long way to go. But hopefully, the results in Finland will keep over time sort of showing people that this more collaborative feminine leadership model works.
Yeah. At least we have these young leaders, and I think that the really good point in all of this is that they are young. They have handled the whole COVID crisis really well, and they are precise. They are true leaders, I think. Yeah. So it's a nice thing to be in this country and see this kind of change happening.
Yes, good. Well, I'd like to come over and visit one day. Maybe something cozy. Come by train for a white Finland. Well, I just end on that this very much is our period. One of your fabulous t-shirts, which I wear with pride. So for anyone who's watching who perhaps would like to start using a menstrual cup, but that hasn't maybe had the confidence to start yet, what would be the sort of first bit of advice you would give them?
You just need to take the leap. And try it, because then you will know if it's your thing. And we have really good customer service. So, and also the website, we have lots of information on our website. So if you have any questions, just ask us. Watch the YouTube videos. Using a cup isn't really that difficult at all.
Yeah,
it's just a new product.
Yeah, and it takes a few periods, I think, to get used to it, because you've only really got a couple of days a month to give it a go, haven't you? So you kind of have to keep trying.
Yeah, and it's a completely new concept, so I understand that it might feel a little bit tricky and difficult in the beginning, but I can remember how it felt to use the tampon for the first time. That was really scary, and I was like concerned that when I put it in, I instantly get TSS or something like that, and so it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, great. Well, Heli, thank you so much for joining me on Nat's Chat and for your support of City to Sea and the work that we do. It's a great partnership, and very happy to have you on board. So yeah, thanks very much. It's getting darker now, so I just wish you a lovely evening and a cozy winter, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, it was my pleasure.
You've been listening to Nat's Chats. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.